Hi, this is Victoria from Victoria Violet. You guys already know my hair is wet. Heading out again to work since I've been doing split shifts because it's so hot here in San Antonio. Today I wanted to talk about a topic, and the topic I wanted to talk about was energy. So what energy has value to you? And is it healthy or unhealthy? What can we equate that to? Well, let's say food, right? Food, eating healthy foods, well, then you have a healthy body. Your system works correctly. Your organs are working correctly as they should, and you shouldn't have any health problems, right? So you should be healthy. Same way that decisions in life can be healthy or unhealthy, right? In general. Not speaking about food now. Now we're just talking about decisions in general that we take, that we make, can be healthy or unhealthy to us, energy-wise, okay? But yet, knowingly or unknowingly, they can hold value to us. Let me see. Besides the food, how about unhealthy relationships? They can hold value to us. Why? Because we are in love with someone, or we're stuck on them, meaning that we're infatuated with them. Codependent, but the bad codependent. I, as someone that's a practitioner, a spiritual practitioner, I do believe there's a healthy dependency, which I'll make a video about later. Right now we're talking about the negative codependencies, right? And the negative codependencies don't only have to be on another human, right? True story. I owned a cat when I lived in Colorado. I gave her up for adoption when I came back because she was alone too often. I worked. I'm a workaholic. I worked too much. So, literally, if I went to the kitchen to get a glass of water, she would go too. If I went to the kitchen to get food, she would go too. And she expected her bowl to be filled every time I went. So what I found that I was doing when I was in Colorado, I was kind of miserable. I keep it real on my channel. I was kind of miserable. I thought that, Colorado was going to be a great move. It just didn't fit for many, many reasons. Financially was one of them. And then it was the height of COVID. And all I saw was nothing but test after test after test after test. Like I've stated in other videos, I tested between 1,000 to 2,500 people per day at the site that we worked at in the School of the Mines in Colorado. So all I saw was negativity. That's negative energy, right? So you keep putting negatives in your bank account, for example, and I know, I got to get rid of that word. I haven't found a better one yet, but I'm self-aware. If you keep not putting money into a bank account and all you're doing is withdrawals, sooner or later you're going to be overdrawn, right? So I felt that way in Colorado. It was negative energy. So I was extremely depressed, and my way of coping, which is a negative coping mechanism, is I'm an eater. I'm an emotional eater. Why do you think I look so beautiful right now? Yes, I know. The camera's not loving me right now. Plus, guys, I'm a foot, not even a foot and a half, maybe 12, maybe 15 inches, maybe 15 inches away from the phone. So yeah, you're going to see all my flaws when I don't wear makeup, especially. And I mean, if I move back, well, I can't reach the pedals. And my vanity isn't such that I feel like I need to constantly, be putting on a mask for you guys. I'm trying to just right now deal with the fact that the only time I can really talk to you guys is when I'm awake. And when I'm awake, well, I'm working right now. So those things will change. But again, we're talking about negative energies. And right now, I am addicted to negative energies. I'm addicted to pay for my rent, being able to pay for my utilities, being able to pay for my necessities, because all of the things, including this vehicle, again, I'm having a human experience just like you guys are. So I'm addicted to work right now, which is a negative, because what can happen when you're addicted to work? Your health goes down. You eat poorly. You don't sleep as much. So you look crazy like me and have bags under your eyes all the time, puffiness, because your body is not being able to rejuvenate, right? So you're in the deficit right now. You're not in the positives, you're in the deficits, right? So it's hard. It's hard. But what I'm talking about right now, because this too shall pass, is what negative energies are you addicted to that you don't want to change? You're aware you need to change, but you just don't want to work on those energies because they hold some value to you. Okay? So let's look at that first. Let's look at that topic first. The non-healthy energies that you contain within your little, let's say, goblet. You keep putting that negative energy into your goblet because for some reason and somehow it satisfies you, or you think works for you. You think, I'm repeating it, you think it works for you. The problem is when you think it works for you, and those around you can see that it's definitely not working for you. In New Hampshire, she meant it as funny, but it wasn't funny. So right before I moved from New Hampshire, I moved because the housing is so bad. The housing is so bad. I mean, they don't go by that you had a good renter's credit and your credit is fine. No, they go by the highest person on the totem pole. Whoever has the highest credit, those are who they rent to. So can you imagine the poor people? And I am saying P-O-O-R, people. The people that do not have very good jobs, do not have very much money, how they were having to get along. No wonder they all lived together, bunched up. Suffice to say, I had never had any roommates in all my life, unless you could call a husband and children roommates. So I'd never had roommates in all my life, and it was really, really hard for me when I had to live under someone else's roof and pay them rent because they wanted to be up in my grill all the time. They wanted to be in my business all the time, even though I had disclosed to the lady prior to renting that I'm a very private person and I like my quiet time. I like my space. When I come home from work, all I want to do is go into the room, relax, watch YouTube, watch a movie. I haven't even done that lately. And eat and go to sleep. You know, shower, go to sleep, prepare for the next day. I had days because I lived in New Hampshire and I worked in Boston. So I traveled on a bad snow day. I would travel for 6 hours before I could get home. From home to work and from work to home was 6 hours on a bad snow day. So the very least that I traveled was about an hour and 45 minutes. Going and coming about 3 hours per day on a good day. Okay? So of course all I wanted to do was go to sleep. So again, you know, people can have bad habits, bad energy habits that they have. The lady wanted, I guess, to have conversation, so she thought it was rude of me to want to go into the room and just simply be alone and not have to talk and not have to express myself, because that's all I did. That's all I did. Even in the car, my boss, since I was salaried, would call me on the way home. And so why do you think I'm so used to talking in the car? Because he would call me and he wanted to know about cases and he wanted to know about clients, and I'd have to express to him, you know, how the day went, how the week went, especially on a Friday, how the week went, you know, etc. Did I do what he wanted me to do? Assignments, extra tasks, etc. Right? So having her have that bad energy type of unhealthy way about her, that I guess she was lonely and it wasn't good enough for me to just pay her the rent and go to my room. She expected me to have full-on contact with her and express myself to her and tell her about my life and tell her about my privacy, which I don't do. I disclose certain things to you guys and certain things I will not, because it's none of anybody's business. Likewise, I'll never ask you personal questions that are none of my business. And I always say, if you'd like to put in the comment and share. Why? Because I realize that people have a right to have privacy. So, part of me having bad energy, unhealthy energy, type of habits is before the person you see before you now is totally different than the person that I was even a year ago. Oops, sorry about that. Even a year ago. Okay? Because up to a year ago, I was still very much a yes person. I was still very much, because I don't like to argue, I would always say I'm a lover, not a fighter. And now, I'm so sorry about that. Pardon me, that just kind of just went all over the place. Must be an important talk is all I can say if it's going all over the place. Literally, for me, things have changed. As a light worker, I would always try to keep the peace. I would always be like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And even if I didn't want to do it, even if I meant no, I would still say yes. 99.5% of the time I would still say yes. I'm not that way anymore. Better late than never, right? Learning how to be different, to have my own peace of mind, and getting out of that unhealthy energy habit of saying yes. And a lot of times, because you want to keep the peace, sorry, I'm here fixing my hair because it looks crazy. You say yes to things that you would normally cringe and say no to. But because people want to fight, want to argue, want to become combative, most light workers that are still finding their voice will say yes to you. They'll even let bad situations back in the door, even though they know better. They know better. They know it's not going to end right. It's not going to be a good ending. It's not going to be a result that they want. But they still say yes to people. So, finding your voice and finding your way out of negative habits, negative energies, is what this topic is all about. And how do you measure? How do you weigh out your ability to bring a more balanced life and habits to you by picking and choosing what feels good, what doesn't feel good, leaving that in the cold, letting that be on ice, and discarding of it. I think that that's hard because you've got to have self-awareness first and foremost. Because you're on the inside, most of the time you won't get it. You won't get the fact that you have a very, very, very bad habit energy-wise. And most of the time you're going to self-implode before you get it, before you realize that you've got to change your energy, right? Because you're self-destructing. So most of the time, because you're on the inside looking out, you're not going to see that. A lot of times others that are close to you and mean well may see your negative energy traits or habits before you do. And what happens when they bring it to our attention? What do you know? I can't believe you're saying that to me. How dare you? It's none of your business. Mind your own business. Well, you're not so perfect yourself. right? That's, it's a defense mechanism. But sometimes it's not even a defense mechanism. It's the fact that we're not self-aware. We have no clue. Maybe because we've been doing things the same way for years, 10, 15, 20 years. So we don't have a clue that what we're doing is the opposite of constructive. It's not constructive. It's opposing you in life, and you don't even realize that it's bringing negative vibes to even yourself, much less that people can see it. So what I like to tell people, and what I would always tell my students when they were not behaving appropriately, was, God bless, you got a stink on you, and I can smell it a mile away. And that would stop them in their tracks, because they would literally try to smell themselves, because they didn't know what I was talking about. And they thought that for some reason they had BO or something, and that's what I was talking about, or bad breath, because we would talk about halitosis, of course, in the classroom, which is bad breath, the technical term for bad breath. And so they thought that's what I was talking about. And then when it would finally dawn on them, because another student had already heard me say that once before, they would be laughing at them, and they would tell them, your attitude stinks. And then everybody would be like, because they already knew Miss G was going to tell them that their attitude was stinky cheese. So again, sometimes we're not self-aware. Sometimes we are, and we refuse to change. We refuse to make the appropriate changes so that we can have a better life, so that our life goes smoother, so that we don't have so much to complain about, so that the things that we so want in life can work. But we're so used to those habits and that negative energy that even if there's an opportunity to bring a change that's more positive about, we hold on for dear life. Have you ever seen, and I love to give this analogy, have you ever seen a cat that doesn't like water? The majority of cats do not like to be bathed. So if you dip them in water, or they fall into water, the first thing they do is start fighting you. They start looking like you're about to drown them, right? That's the way they act, like, oh my God, ah. That's what happens when you're trying to help someone to bring about healthier habits in their life. One, they may not be self-aware. Two, they may be self-aware and like exactly how their life is, because they prefer to have things the way they are. Change is too hard. Let me repeat that. They would prefer for you to leave them alone in their way that they're doing whatever it is they do in life that's not bringing them anything positive, but they'd prefer to stay in that than to attempt to change their life, because it's too hard. It's work. So you are not, in fact, going to change anyone. And it's much like the way hypnosis works. People have to allow you to hypnotize them. They have to subconsciously let you in. So, in the same way, once you bring something to someone's attention, and it's all in wanting to help, you now have to step back. You now have to step back. And you have to wait. And you have to stand by. Because now the only thing you can do is wait to see one of two things that may happen. Okay? Actually, three. One, the person is going to think things through and will come back to you and say, thank you. I did not realize that this that I normally do, that have become part of my character and just my way of life, that it was causing me to not have a positive outcome like I thought I would be getting. That I didn't realize that's what was blocking my positive flow or my beautiful outcome. Or two, they're in quiet, in silence. So you won't even hear about the changing or the changes that they're doing. They'll conduct it themselves in silence, in quiet. They'll go away with the information that you were supplying them with in reference to that situation or topic of speech, of conversation. And they'll go away in silence and think things through. And then you're not going to hear about, well, thank you for bringing this to my attention. It meant, it made a big difference in my life. You're not going to hear any of that. What you're going to see, little by little, like an onion, you're going to see the layers being peeled away from that person. And they will start changing in their own timing. And it may be slow, it may be fast, but it's in their own timing, and they have the new self-awareness that you wanted them to have. So you did the work. And then you're going to have a third one. And I don't care if you tell them for 10 years. That's how long you've been trying to work with this person and saying for 10 solid years. If you only did it this way, you might want to try. Were you aware? Nothing is going to change them. Nothing. Because that person has that habit, that energy habit, so ingrained inside of them that they're now convinced that their way is right. So now they're stubborn and they're, digging their heels in. And there's no way that you're going to get them to admit they're wrong, or not even necessarily that they're wrong, but what they're doing is wrong, or what the way that they conduct themselves is not right, and that things, have two different points of view that you can look at. They will not budge. Sometimes it's out of arrogance and stubbornness, and sometimes it's out of stubbornness and shame. I did say that right. Two types of individuals that cannot change. One has stubborn pride that has arrogance, and the other one has stubborn pride and is filled with shame. Like, how dare you say that about me? How dare you talk like that to me? In their mind, they won't argue with you, but that's what they'll be thinking. How dare you insinuate that I need you to help me change? How dare you insinuate you know more about my life? So they'll have a stubborn pride about them, and they'll be angry that you even try to help them to have this change. And then there's those that are arrogant and prideful that are like, what the hell do you know? You're nobody, you're nothing. How dare you try to tell me how to do things when you don't have your own act together? So you're going to encounter those. And it's not your job to change them anyway. It never was. Your job was to say, hey, did you know that your blue shirt that you have on is now pink? Shouldn't it be blue? Wasn't it blue the last time? I thought it was supposed to originally be blue. Did you maybe drop some bleach on that? I mean, I'm taking it out of context, but that's the whole thing. You just bring something to people's attention and then you drop it. Because otherwise, you are trying to change people, and the only person you can change is yourself. That's it. You'll be lucky if the person that you're trying to help allows you in far enough, deep enough, clear enough to comprehend that you're only there to help, and that you love them enough to try. I hope that this has helped someone. Next time we'll talk about how to bring about healthy changes and what tips and tricks you can do and use in order to get yourself there. Okay? It's already 25 minutes long. I think that's long enough on this topic. And I hope that somebody out there can use some of the nuggets I dropped in this video. Until next time, my friends, Victoria Violet, bye.